Hey, everybody. Welcome to Change, where we are an emerging tech podcast. We interview a lot of exciting companies and CEOs of those companies. And today we have Jonathan Chester, the co-founder and CEO of BitWage. Excited to have you here, Jonathan, today. Thank you for joining.
Yeah. Thanks for having me, Bill.
Absolutely. I'm excited about this conversation because I've invested decades of my life in the human capital industry working to innovate. And you're bringing a very strong innovation with BitWage, which we're going to talk about today. So I'm excited to talk about that. A little bit about you. We know that you're the co-founder and CEO of BitWage, and it's a very popular blockchain payroll, HR, and invoicing platform. Has a bright future, in my opinion. One of the reasons we're talking today. Have been recognized as one of the top 7 startups in the US for blockchain, which is an exciting kind of recognition you've received in the past as well. You have written, as an individual, you've written for Forbes, for many years, I believe, on all things Bitcoin and blockchain and all the innovations there as well. So you've also been featured in Les Echos, Entrepreneur, Quartz, a whole bunch of different publications. You've consulted with members of the European Parliament, the California Senate, and others regarding the blockchain industry. So thank you for fighting the good fight, which is still in process. We'll see how it all fleshes out over time. And you've spoken at conferences like Viva Technology, Paris FinTech Forum, SCAP Payments, Transact 15, Coin Agenda, and many others. So excited to have you here today. You are obviously still a young man, and but have been in the industry of crypto like an OG. I mean, you've been in since 2013, which is a lot longer than most of us have. So you recognize this opportunity really early on. So did I miss anything on your bio, or does that help explain it all to our viewers today?
I think that helps explain most of what I've done. I think it's a good wrap up. It's good to also talk about BitWage.
Absolutely, that's the plan today. So, which again, a company I'm really excited about. So why don't we start with that? Why don't you tell us about BitWage, what the vision, what the mission is, and how you got started, if you don't mind.
Sure. Yeah. So BitWage is the leading provider of Bitcoin and crypto payroll, invoicing, and benefits. This is centered around 2 growing trends today. One is obviously cryptocurrency, the other is remote work. And remote work has brought 2 different trends that affect us. One is domestic remote work, and the idea that even after the pandemic, many HR executives believe that remote work is here to stay. And one thing that Bitcoin and crypto payroll brings to HR is new benefits that are remote work ready, that are enabling remote work and helping companies differentiate themselves. So that's one element. The other element is as remote work becomes more popular, so is cross-border workforces and employing employees cross-border, hiring contractors and gig workers cross-border. And what Bitcoin, cryptocurrency, and even stablecoins bring to the table, which we incorporate in our system, is much easier, much more efficient ways of managing your remote workforces. So that's what BitWage focuses on and is bringing to the table with the technology that we have. We've actually been around for quite a while. We started back in 2014. We have now processed $100 million in payroll transactions. We have about 50,000 registered users on our platform. We grew 65% last year. We were also profitable last year, and that number is continuing to grow. Our user acquisition is now double what it was the same time last year, which is great. And how I got into this is it's a fun story. Going back to 2013, I was working at sales at Oracle. That was my first job out of college, and it was a little bit of a mundane workplace environment. So I found myself trying to learn about all different kinds of new technologies, and I came across Bitcoin in a TED Talk. And they were talking about financial inclusion, international payments, financial sovereignty. And I found all these things incredibly fascinating, went down the rabbit hole, came out this obsessed Bitcoin guy. And I was at Oracle telling everyone, you got to buy Bitcoin. You got to buy Bitcoin. This is the time to buy Bitcoin. And everyone thought I was insane at that point, right? It's 2013, 7 years ago, 8 years ago. And I just so happened to have another co-founder, or not another coworker rather, who was obsessed with Bitcoin as well. So we got connected, and he ultimately became my co-founder, and we said, you know, Bitcoin is going to be the future. No one is doing anything with this to address business needs around paying workforces, paying vendors, paying freelancers, anything. Let's be the first to do this. So we set off to launch that product. And in 2014, we were full-time on BitWage. We launched the product, but as you may surmise, it was a little bit early for companies to adopt Bitcoin Payroll in 2014. Back then, Bitcoin was really only known for, you know, nefarious things, let's just say. So trying to go to companies to convince them to pay their workers in Bitcoin or with cryptocurrency was quite hard. What we ended up doing from then until, you know, a little bit more than a year ago was we created a B2C product that allowed workers to receive their wages in Bitcoin without their employers needing to sign up. So they basically got like a voided check depository account, which they could give to, you know, the Facebooks, the Googles, the you know, any company, and then they get paid into that, and they got paid Bitcoin. And that was actually quite popular. A lot of people wanted to use that to get paid. But fast forward to 2020, and COVID acted as a catalyst for both cryptocurrency and remote work. And what we've seen today is a dramatic shift in the way that companies are looking at this and exploring and integrating Bitcoin Payroll. The B2B product is now 50% of our business. And for the first time ever, we are talking with Fortune 1000 companies about enabling Bitcoin Payroll as part of their benefits or their business operations for managing their international workforces.
Yeah, I mean, we've only talked once before. We met through a mutual contact. Dante is his name, great guy. All of your premises are right on. I've been in the industry for 25 years. I'm embarrassed to say, but that's just how it's panned out. Time flies. First of all, the people at Oracle are probably like, do you remember that guy, Jonathan? I wonder if he's driving his yacht yet. But you were so early on that. Of course, you did even better. You started a business around it, not just speculative. So, and created utility around Bitcoin and beyond, right? We're looking at other coins as well. We can talk about that. I'll tell you what, a lot of the people who watch Change and know me from other avenues, they know AI, blockchain, robotics. I spent a lot of years in human capital. I have built agent of record companies from the ground up, employer of record companies, payrolling companies. I know that this is the future. There are literally, you process 100 million. Sounds like a lot, is a lot for a young company. There are companies out there that do multiple billions of dollars a year and manage 150 different countries for payments. So a Fortune 500 will send them $10 million. They'll distribute the payment maybe across 30 or 40 countries, and they have a bunch of partners in these different countries that they send the payments through. This takes out the middleman, right? Isn't that what blockchain does? It takes out the middleman in the whole industry. So it definitely, in my opinion, having an educated subject matter expert view on this is the future. So kudos to you there. Tell us about, and you talked about the 50-50 now, B2B, B2C. Tell us about your customers. Just tell us a little about who they are. You don't have to mention names, of course, but tell us like who they are and what do they use? It sounds straightforward, but maybe just go into the use case a little bit more.
Sure. Yeah. So I think it's good to look at it separately, the B2B and the B2C, right? So on the B2C side, we do get a lot of, you know, in the US, it's a lot of employees. Internationally, it's a lot more gig workers and contractors. What we see internationally is a big plurality among software developers. So software developers are very keen on this product. And in fact, that actually bleeds into the United States. But it is not what it was 5 years ago, where it was almost exclusively software developers. We see coffee shop baristas, we see, you know, members of literally the US Navy, the IRS, the World Health Organization, United Nations, Starbucks. You know, it's a whole grab bag of people from different wide-ranging professions that are opting into this, that are using this, that are looking to get paid in this. And I think partially it's because they view this as a way to increase their long-term salary without having to increase the actual dollar amounts, right? But on the company side, you know, what are the companies that are beginning to use us? So in terms of sizes, we see a lot of sizes in the either below 20 person or the 100 to 300 person range. And the hotspots that we typically see are in the realm of like professional services. So customer service or marketing services or software development services. We see a lot of these kinds of companies gravitating to us, where their product is the people that they're essentially reselling, right? As opposed to the software. We do also have a lot of startups that are early stage, producing SaaS, various kinds of SaaS products. I think those are the majority. Of course, there's also cryptocurrency companies, and that was a big bulk of what we did a few years ago, but that's changing significantly now.
Yeah, it's all super interesting, and I think that you're going to have an influx of companies that get your customer support team ready and your sales team ready, because I think there's going to be an influx of calls for companies that are looking at this. Now, we know that any celebrity or politician can say anything they want about the market, and it's volatile, but this is stabilizing. And obviously, we're even seeing pro athletes want to take all of their salary or their wages in Bitcoin. So I think we're going to continue to see this trend very heavily. So the calls you're getting now are going to exponentially increase. You talked a little bit about it, but tell us what are the major benefits, both on the B2B side and the B2C side? Like what at the end game, sure, people are paid in Bitcoin and other crypto. What are like the true benefits they're getting?
Sure. And just to go back to that previous topic, I forgot to mention that we do have pro athletes as well as musicians and other kinds of influencers that are coming on board. We had the first professional soccer player to come on board and use us. But going back to why, what's in it for the individual, what's in it for the company, right? So for the individual, a lot more people are looking as getting a portion of their wage in Bitcoin. There's basically two different areas domestically that you land in. One is as a hedge against the dollar. A lot of people saw all the money that was being printed, and they're expecting that inflation will eventually hit. Some people believe that maybe consumer price index hasn't changed, but real estate has changed, assets have changed, and the power of their dollars is weakening against those kinds of purchases. So there's a lot of people who fit this bucket of, I want a portion of my wage to go into a savings account that is a hedge against dollars. The other is they look at it more similarly to a 401k as an investment in their future, where a lot of people, their initial way to be introduced into the investment world is through their 401k. And so this brings something familiar to them so they can invest in Bitcoin in a very easy way, in a very simple way. They do it with dollar cost averaging, which is essentially a mechanism to reduce the short-term volatility on your purchases and reduce your stress when you do a purchase, but still invest in the long term. So these are the two reasons why someone would want it domestically. In the international context, it's actually very similar to people who want to hedge against the dollar, but they're not hedging against the dollar, they're hedging against their own local currency, right? In the US, the dollar is relatively stable, but if you go to like Argentina, you go to Brazil, you go to countries in Africa, certain countries in Asia, the currencies are much less stable. So people are looking for hedges to that. Some people want Bitcoin, some people want stable coins. So we offer stable coins, which are cryptocurrencies pegged to the dollar, so that these workers can basically get paid with dollars on their phones that can be liquidated to their local currencies as they need. So that's a huge value add for people getting paid internationally. On top of what you may not have heard of the benefits of using cryptocurrency as a medium of exchange to move money across borders, which essentially cuts out intermediaries through the process and gives you a faster and cheaper end deposit into your bank account. So those are all the benefits to the worker. And the workers are wanting this, they're almost expecting this. Let's move over to the company. And there's two ways to look at it. One is like, should I even offer this at all? And then the second is, if I am offering it, do I want a service to help me offer it, or should I do it just by myself, right? These are the two areas to think about there. So why should I even begin to offer this? Again, it makes it much more efficient to pay your workers globally. In a single click, you can pay internationally for pretty much no fees at all, directly into people's accounts globally. So that's reduces a lot of overhead and administrative work for people who need to manage and pay their international workforces. Domestically, there's also the advantage of being forward-looking, offering benefits that are remote work proof, being able to differentiate yourself when previously you might offer something like, you know, free meals in the office, bring your dog to work day, any kind of things like this to keep workers happy. This doesn't work anymore in the remote work world. And you need new differentiating benefits to get people to come over. This is one of these new innovative benefits that literally people from all different kinds of professions want. Especially if you're looking for developers, it's even more hot for them than other kinds of benefits. So it's really good for attracting workforces, keeping workforces happy with new benefits, especially engaging them in remote workforces. Of course, there is the side of, okay, I've decided to offer this. I now want to offer this. Why don't I just do it myself? And there's actually quite a lot of complications to doing it yourself. First, you need to have someone that knows how to manage cryptocurrency, which in and of itself is very complicated and hard to deal with, especially when you're talking about paying hundreds or thousands of employees, all with changing wallet preferences for how they're going to get paid out. So there's a whole lot of complication, a whole lot of risk, a whole lot of administrative headache, how to deal with accounting of the crypto transactions, how to deal with taxes related to it. So all of that gets figured out and bundled up into an easy system for you as a company to use that any administrator can use when you use a system like BitWage.
Well said. So many things there. Some things you may or may not be aware of. You know, the agent of record business paying across border, you know, from U.S. companies is probably about $5 to $8 billion. The business model there is 5 to 7% of the pay. So I imagine that there's going to be some cost efficiencies when using your service, right? So what about if that money then can go back to pay people more instead of being charged in fees? So you may actually have pay rates increase because we're cutting out middlemen. And by the way, some of these people who run these companies are my friends. And if you're watching this, I love you. So don't get me wrong. You'll probably want to call Jonathan soon. But there's such an efficiency there around that. And you're right about, we sometimes in the US, we take a myopic view on just the US, but internationally, currency isn't stable like it is here. You know, the dollar is the international standard. So these individuals in these other countries who we work with, I don't know about you, but I work with people in the Philippines, in Dubai, in London, in Brazil every day. So, you know, these are real people and they're good people. So they need a way to create more stability in their life, and this to some degree offers that. Now, a derivative question to that, are you developing IP at BitWage to kind of protect, whether it's a wallet or something else, to kind of protect the company and bring all this IP to create a lot of value? How's that working for you?
Yeah, so we have an entire technology stack that we've built. We're actually doing a big upgrade, a big overhaul that'll be coming out later this year. You know, we look at our technology stack from and the competitiveness of it from, you know, the server, storage, and operating system and coding languages used to the open architecture APIs that we're developing all the way to the application level. So, you know, we have priority technology that fills that entire stack. One of the big things that we're excited about coming out soon is the open architecture APIs. That's going to give access to all different kinds of companies to use various parts of our stack, which is the application layer, which is essentially helping companies or workers receive their wages in crypto, embedding that maybe into a payroll system, into an HR system, a time tracking system, these kind of things. But also our cash in and cash out functionalities. So we have in the middle of it all is essentially, you know, a system that can receive fiat on crypto and pay out fiat on crypto, and it can be different inputs and different outputs, right? So there's a little bit of magic happening in the middle that creates a gateway for all different kinds of business transactions. And so what we want to do is open up that gateway, not just on the application layer, but on the cash in and cash out layer for other companies to be able to interact with and experiment with.
I guess the good news is that you've been around for a little bit. You're growing faster than ever. You have resources now. And so all this seems real. I could sense your excitement around that. And I get it. I totally understand where you're going. It seems really exciting. So to wrap up the conversation, give me your vision. Where are we going to be with the future of work let's say payroll and payroll when we get to 2030? What's that look like? Maybe that's too far ahead. Maybe you want to go 5 years or even 9 years ahead. How is your technology going to change things in the world of work?
Right. Yeah. So one of the big things that I think is changing today is the intimacy between cryptocurrency benefits and payroll, right? As Bitcoin and other cryptocurrencies mature, they're going to take on a much more stable aspect of life, right? If you've gone to business school, there's this concept that when an asset matures, it goes from being volatile to having a small constant growth rate. And we're going to see this with Bitcoin and likely some of these other cryptocurrencies as well. And when we get to this point, people are going to be looking at Bitcoin, a deflationary asset that's relatively stable, and it is the most liquid asset that is deflationary in the world. Literally can be spent on Visa and MasterCards today. People are going to say, I'm expecting this to be my savings account, at least a part of my savings account. And the way that they had their savings account today is a direct deposit, but this was an evolution. It started with checks, which they would take, and then they would cash it in their bank, and then they would take that cash and maybe they put it in their wallet or they're putting it in their bed. Now they get it direct deposited into their savings account. The same exact evolution is going to happen in the world of cryptocurrency, where right now you get your paycheck, you take it, you put it on, you put it on an exchange, you buy the crypto, and then you maybe withdraw it somewhere. But eventually, the expectation is that you're going to have the direct deposit through your paycheck into your savings account, which is going to be cryptocurrency and blockchain powered. So that's what we're going to see in 10 years. That's my vision, 5 to 10 years. Between now and then, what we're going to see is the implementation of stablecoins and Bitcoin and maybe other crypto on the international side of things, because that's where we are today. We can actually see today the benefits and the efficiency of moving money across borders to pay workers using cryptocurrency. And I see that our system is going to enable people around the world to get paid the way that they want to get paid and need to get paid.
It all makes sense. I think this is well said. We could talk for hours because I know the industry so well, and I really believe in this. Jonathan Chester, CEO, co-founder of BitWage. Thank you so much for your time today. It's an exciting proposition. People can find you. Tell people where they can find you and get a hold of you.
Yeah. So obviously, if you're interested in for BitWage, it's www.bitwage.com. To catch me, the best place is Twitter @JohnChest. Sometime I host a Clubhouse event for Bitcoin to Business every Thursday at 3 p.m. PST. Bitcoin for Business @Jonathan Chester on Clubhouse. Those are the best places to catch me.
Awesome. Well, I'm sure that many people watching this will be seeing you there, and I look forward to continuing to help you because I believe in your path. And congratulations on the success. And Jonathan, we'll talk to you again.
Awesome.
Take care.
Pleasure.